Actually, this isn't an otamatone video. This is in a totally different video series where I'm playing and talking about this game, Smash Up. I've been playing it for a few years, and over that time it's become my favorite card game. And for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, Smash Up is a game in which each player takes two factions of 20 cards each, shuffles them up into a deck, and plays a game against 1 to 3 opponents who did the same thing. So far, as of right now, there are 50 different factions of the game, which means there's 1,225 different possible decks you can play. And since it would be completely ridiculous to try to do a video on every single deck that seems interesting, I'm going to devote one video in this series to each faction in the game. Or at least I'm going to keep going until I get to the point where I burn out on it. These are the Dinosaurs of Smash Up, and I picked them first out of all 50 current factions because I think they're the most beginner-friendly faction of the game. They're simple, easy to play, and generally do better in larger games. Metagame-wise, they're fairly weak in a 2-player game, about average with 3 players, and fairly strong with 4 players. And when it comes to good partner factions for them, they're going to tend to magnify the strength or weakness of their partner faction. So it's not a good idea to prioritize getting the Dinosaurs with your first pick in a draft, but they're a great second pick if you already have a really strong first faction. Whether you're playing with or against the Dinosaurs, it helps to understand the care and feeding of their minions. War Raptor, with its +1 power for each War Raptor at this base, likes to be played in clusters. So when you're playing the Dinosaurs, you should try to pair up 2 or 3 of them at the same base. Conversely, if you're playing against the Dinosaurs, seeing one War Raptor usually signals at least one more coming, and you should probably try to destroy it or remove it somehow. Armor Stego has a great ability for 3 and 4 player games, but in 2-player games you mostly want to play it when you're already ahead on the board and have quite a bit more power than your opponent. Otherwise, its +2 during other players' turns will help your opponent break and win the base. Laceratops normally wants to be played early in a base's lifetime because the destruction is optional, and as a result, if there's a 2-power minion on the base, playing a Laceratops only increases the total power at that base by 2, which can interfere with you using augmentation to break a base. And finally, King Rex. Please do not just play him and leave him on the board. When you play King Rex, break a base. There are a few exceptions, but they mostly arise in 4-player games. As for the actions, you should know that Howl is there. It's useful if you're playing dinosaur robots or dinosaur zombies, but most of the time the big card to be aware of is augmentation. Just remember that it's +4. As a core faction, the Dinosaurs bring 16 different bases to your base deck, and 6 of them are game warping in some way, but there's 2 that really interact in a major way with the Dinosaurs. First off, Jungle Oasis has the lowest breakpoint in the game at 12. And as it turns out, King Rex plus Rampage will break it in 1 turn. This is great if you can save it until you have 13 victory points at the start of your turn and then just end the game by playing it. And the homeworld, of course, is the War Raptor's favorite destination, because the War Raptors love to get paired up, and the homeworld gives you as many 2-power minion plays as you could possibly want. In this game, we have the Trickster Time Travelers playing first against the Dinosaur Pirates playing second. And the Dinosaurs are going to function as a support faction, adding some size to make the Pirates' plans work a little better. Our first 3 bases are Ninja Dojo, School of Wizardry, and Portal Room. And 2 of these bases offer more points to the runner-up than to the winner, meaning that they aren't very interesting in a 2-player game. And so at the start of the game, both decks are focusing on School of Wizardry because it's the only base that can let them gain a victory point advantage by winning it. Now, the Pirates have 2 plans that the Dinosaurs want to support. The first is to make a stack of these first mates, which will bounce from base to base. And if they want to do that, they're going to run into the problems that with 2 dead bases on the board, the first mates after School of Wizardry breaks are going to end up going somewhere where the pirates don't really care to win that much. And so the pirates are going to want to do something about one of these 2 dead bases at some point. The pirates' other plan, though, really likes the dead bases. They would like to play 1 or 2 minions at a base that won't see much action and then use Dinghy to move those minions directly to the action with their action play still having a minion to play on the active base in the same turn. War Raptor is excellent support for this, since 2 War Raptors at, say, Portal Room would be an 8-power Dinghy coming towards the action. Let alone if they can drop a 3rd War Raptor on School of Wizardry or some other base as their minion play, they could have 15 then, and that would just win. Right now you're going to see both decks playing a little bit slowly because School of Wizardry only offers a 1 play point advantage, and the Dinosaur Pirates are also sort of looking at this dead board and going, we're going to end up with first mate sitting at Ninja Dojo or Portal Room after this. So nobody really wants to commit a lot of resources yet. That Pirate King you're seeing helps support the Dinghy plan in future. At this point, the Dinosaurs do have double War Raptor to set up a future Dinghy. The reason I'm not going for this immediately is that School of Wizardry is only a 3-2 base, and I'd like to commit such a large resource as the only pair of War Raptors I'll get this game to a base that offers 2 extra VP to the winner. Keep in mind there is already 1 War Raptor in the discard from Take the Shinies hitting on the first turn. Right there, that was a tactical mistake. The Trickster Time Travelers have just gone to 9 out of 20 at a base when, because of the threat of Dinghy, the Dinosaur Pirates are threatening to break it. An 11-9 win on a 20-point base is the most power-efficient win you can get, and that's why I sat there pausing, realizing that I just made a very stupid misplay. That jumper should have landed somewhere else, probably at Ninja Dojo. However, the Dinosaur Pirates are not going to immediately take advantage of this because they need to activate the first mate in order to be able to do something big later on. So you're actually going to see me sacrifice a victory point at Ninja Dojo by playing 10 power on the Dinosaur Pirates' turn, 12 on the Trickster Time Traveler's turn, via Armor Stego's ability. Now, right here, I thought I'd just made a mistake. After I looked at the tape afterwards, I realized that this was actually the best play in the position because sacrificing the victory point is worth it. But it's possible I could have put up a better defense for the Trickster Time Travelers if I'd realized that that wasn't a mistake and that opening up the board really threatens to get the first mates active. And so here I just accept the sacrifice at Ninja Dojo, take the 3-2 lead for the Trickster Time Travelers, and the Dinosaur Pirates get the compensation that Ninja Dojo's ability gets to kill the 3 right through Hideout, and also the Dinosaur Pirates get an active base for their first mates. And Great Library is exactly the sort of base that they wanted to see. Now we see a War Raptor come out because there's a base that's worthy of getting swarmed by War Raptors. And that is just being used to remove the hideout to set up a broadside next turn. This point, I go for the take the shinies play because when you see one War Raptor, there's probably a second and maybe even a third coming. So just random discards to try to get rid of those War Raptors before they show up, or removal that kills a 3-power minion to get rid of one War Raptor can help save a lot of pain coming on the next turn. This case, though, it gets 2 solid cards, but they aren't the War Raptor. And we're getting back not Cave of Shinies, we're getting back Take the Shinies, so that we can try to do it again next turn. This also forces the Dinosaurs to actually play the second War Raptor immediately instead of holding it as a threat. Unless they want to risk losing it to a random discard, which you generally shouldn't. And now we have a major dinghy threat set up because that is 8 power sitting on Great Library. Going to 8 power here would have lost the base to too many possible Dinosaurs' hands. So we go to 6 instead of 8 to just back off it a little bit. And we're trying to break Great Library not just because it's worth an extra VP to the winner relative to School of Wizardry, but also because the first mates are currently sitting at School of Wizardry. And so if we can break the Great Library first, the first mates won't generate extra value from being at one more base. Of course, the problem with playing out that 2-power minion is that the Pirates have so many ways to deal with 2-power minions that they really don't make effective waiting moves against the Pirates. And now at this point you can see 15 power in play between the 2 active bases for the Dinosaur Pirates versus after the Trickster Time Travelers have just taken their turn, just 4. And this is where that sacrifice of a VP to let there be a second active base is really letting the Dinosaur's size and the Pirates' movement abilities tell. And here, the Trickster Time Travelers haven't really been showing the kind of plays that they'd be making if they had a really good hand. So we can go for a 15-4 lead and be reasonably certain that the other player isn't going to make it to 16. Now here, in retrospect, I probably should have played Enshrouding Mist at the Great Library and played Jumper Gnome to kill at least one of those first mates, because let's face it, Dinosaur Pirates are winning the Great Library in this position. And at least that way we could have killed one first mate. For some reason, I was trying to fight back on the board instead of accepting that these 2 bases are lost and I need to try and shut down the Pirates' ability to keep getting more and more value. At this point, the Dinosaur Pirates can just use the removal on those jumpers to continue to sort of clamp down on the position. Also note that with 15-4 on Great Library, it breaks to Howl without having to play an additional minion, so that Flame Trap doesn't actually do anything. We're definitely planning on playing Howl or Swashbuckling to break that, and what we want to do is go for breaking both bases at the same time, allowing us to use the first mates at both bases buffed in the same turn, and then land them on the new base that replaces the Great Library. Once again, I missed the Gnome play. I definitely played better as Dinosaur Pirates than I did as Trickster Time Travelers this game, although I think Dinosaur Pirates still would have won, even if I'd played the best defense. Now, this is a good time to do some math ahead of time. At this point, Howl or Swashbuckling will definitely break the Great Library, but the question is, do you need King Rex to also break School of Wizardry, or can you just play the Laceratops? You need to compute this ahead of time before playing your minion, because the Great Library isn't going to break until you end your main phase and check for breaking. And so you have to play the correct minion, in this case the Laceratops, ahead of time before you get to break the Great Library, and so you've got to do a little more math in your head there. In this case, I spent as long thinking as I did because I wanted to double and triple check and make sure that I wasn't going to get to the end of that sequence, have the second base not break because I'd done something stupid. And at this point, the Dinosaur Pirates have more than gotten their sacrificed VP back. They're already up 6-5, and they're about to be up 9-7. I'm just showing that the wormhole isn't quite interesting yet, because we can normally get more value out of a wormhole than just shuffling 1-4 back into our deck. We also want to try and play wormhole after we've played Time Walk, and we haven't drawn Time Walk yet, I don't think. That Temple of Goju is slightly unfortunate for the Dinosaur Pirates, because now they actually are going to end up moving their first mates to an inactive base. One interesting thing with School of Wizardry is that in general, when you're ahead, you want to pick bases that offer lots of points for second place. In this case, I picked the 4-3 first and the 4-2 second, and that means that if the Dinosaur Pirates manage to win either of these two bases, they'll just win the game. Because a 13-10 lead from winning the Secret Volcano headquarters would be too much to come back from with a 4-2 base. And even if they lose it, they'll end up ahead 12-11, and if they manage to win or tie the next base, which is a 4-2, they'll win the game. So at this point, the Tricksters have to try and play to win Secret Volcano headquarters, because anything else loses the game. And they're going to try and make it a little awkward by playing out Block the Path to block Dinosaurs. This also, now it's a stronger play than it would have been earlier, because the first mates are going to require attention from a dinghy or full sail already, and that means that the Pirates are going to be a little short on movement abilities to support any Dinosaurs minions that they might want to land at the Secret Volcano headquarters. Normally against the Pirates, Block the Path ends up being a very weak card unless they've got some other way that they really need to use their dinghies. And here we're going to get to see the Dinosaurs really be the Dinosaurs. Keep in mind that while the Trickster Time Travelers could have played something at Temple of Goju to defend against this incoming King Rex Rampage and not go down 11-7, they would have still had a losing position. Because at that point, the first mates would have moved to Secret Volcano headquarters, and that would have made it a considerably harder to break. At this point, with the 11-7 VP lead and 3 first mates in play, we've reached an endgame that ought to just be winning for the Dinosaur Pirates, so I'm going to fast forward through the rest of the game. Forward through the rest of the game. Forward through the rest